that. And let's make sure it's recording. Yes. So hi, my name is Shelly Maxwell, and I'm a clinical social worker with the Ascension, Wisconsin EAP program. So if you are joining our session, that means your employer has contracted with us to provide you with counseling. And EAP is basically counseling that's paid for by the provider or the employer. It's more solution-focused, situation-based, where we work with clients up to 8 sessions per situation. And we have counselors located all over the central and eastern part of the state, but we do help people with subcontracts if they're out of our area. I am in the Oshkosh office. I see clients virtually, but also in my office at Mercy Medical Center. And I'm also a registered yoga teacher. So I've been teaching the last 5 years, practicing the last 25 years. And so what we decided, this all started back when COVID was at its peak and we were working from home typically. And so we started doing these monthly R&R sessions that are the first Wednesday of every month at noon, from noon to 12:30. And we've been doing this just over a year now and hope to continue. The general format that I found that works really well for this is we start with some guided imagery, and I just do a bit of a talk as we're grounding into our space, and then we work more into some grounding and deep breathing practice, and then some chair yoga or basic just stretches. And then I typically end with a poem or some sort of reflection at the end, just to give us time to move back in to our workday. So today, the poem I'll be sharing at the end, I came across last month, and it focuses on joy. And I've been reflecting on joy quite a bit the last couple of weeks. We just came out of some really busy months. For those of you who joined in December, we found that we can, that a lot of Thanksgiving and November is about gratitude, the things we've received in our lives. And then we move into the holiday season of December, and it's typically a lot of giving. And so we talked about that symbiotic nature of giving and receiving. And for some people, January can be a bit of a very sudden jerk into a blah. There's not much to look forward to. The weather isn't very nice. There's just not as much that is visually stimulating for us. Physical activities might slow down if you don't do much outdoors. And so in past sessions, I've talked about hygge, the concept that the Danes have, and they're one of the happiest countries, and they have some of the shortest days in the winter, but it's this idea of mindfulness and coziness. So because I've been struck by joy lately, I just did some quick research, and I was really interested to find that there is a difference between joy and happiness. And years ago, when I was going through my divorce and my mom's death at the same time, I kind of got over being happy, like that was a litmus test to how I was doing, because happiness is tied so much to dopamine, which is short-lived. And as my yoga practice was really developing, really coming across endorphins, right? And we release a lot of endorphins, those hormones that give us that sense of wellness, peace, well-being, and we can release those anytime and throughout the day. And what I found is, gratitude is for me very much linked to joy, where I might not be happy. I don't have to put that pressure on myself, but sometimes as I'm really mindful about the things I'm grateful for, I feel this sense of joy. And so to discover that joy is actually both a noun and a verb, but happy is an adjective. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And what I've been trying to do, or what I'd like to be intentional about these next 3 months, maybe even 4 months, they tend to be rough for me. And so I decided I'd really like to be intentional, not just with my gratitude practice, but with being aware when joy is present to me. And I've been finding that the more I look for joy, the more I find her. And it's very subtle. It doesn't always have to be this knock you over. So if you will, I invite you to go ahead and gently close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If closing your eyes is too much, then gently bring your eyelashes together and you can gaze softly through your eyelashes. And I'd like you to come into your chair, letting the weight of the body sink deeply into the chair. Just completely release and come into the present moment. You might notice the sounds around you. If you're in the office and people are warming up their lunches around you, in the microwave, you might smell different aromas. And bring awareness to the rhythm of your heartbeat. And then bring awareness to the sensation of the breath touching the opening of your nostrils. In the form of meditation that I do, Vishoka meditation, the nostrils and bringing awareness to the nostrils, it's that idea that we're present, we're grounded. But then we start to bring our breath up to the corners of the eyes, the inner corners, almost towards the top, like where it meets the eyebrow. And so if you will, you can bring your hands into a prayer pose and bring your index fingers to that space, the corners of the eyes, and just gently press up towards that bridge, just above the bridge of the nose, where the bone is for the eyebrows. I'm not sure how to describe it. Now here, when we bring the breath up through the nose and up to this space, it actually stimulates joy. So as we breathe up through the nostrils to this point of joy, we exhale back out through the nostrils. And you can stay here if you like for 2 or 3 more breaths, bringing the air up to that point of joy and exhaling out, releasing, sending that breath out about 6 or 8 inches from the body. You can stay here. You could even bring that breath up to your third eye center, through that intuition, the center, the forehead between the eyebrows, and bring it down. And you might picture a blanket of snow covering the outside. We were blessed with that vision the week before Christmas. My mother-in-law was so in awe and joyful because where she is in the North Woods, and the way the ice had formed, the snow stuck to every single little branch and twig, and the trees were just so gorgeous. And there's such a softness and a muffling to sound that happens with the snow. We tend to notice more what creatures are around us, discovering their footprints. And maybe imagine it being night and there being a full moon over this blanket of snow, the stars really bright and full. And notice where joy might reside in your body in this moment of peacefulness and grace. You might also notice where you need more joy. Sometimes the holiday season, people come into counseling because they realize they don't have as much joy as they used to, and they're concerned about that. And that's okay. When we're grieving, it's hard to even allow ourselves to feel joy. In some ways, I find myself having to give my clients permission to be exposed to fully receive the joy that's around them. There's almost like a guilt, and that's okay. There's no judgment here. There's no shoulds. You're just observing where you are. If you're lacking joy, you might think back to a time that you've had joy and where you felt it. And overall, we're going to bring joy in. So when you're breathing, focus on that area that typically responds to joy for you, and see if you can let that sensation spread throughout the body, filling the body, almost to where it starts to grow up towards the head, down through the hands and the feet, and maybe coming to the outer edges of the body, the skin. And let that sense of joy feel full right now. And again, it doesn't have to be a joy from happiness. It can be a joy from wellness, from gratitude, from taking the time out of your day to come here and join this community. And taking a couple of more breaths. And as you breathe, make sure that your belly is coming out as you breathe in. And on the exhale, that's when you bring in the effort to hug the navel center towards the back of your chair. Really gently. It's not like a core workout. And when you're ready to inhale, that's when you release the effort and just let the belly balloon. And exhale, bring in the effort. So that way we ensure we're breathing diaphragmatically. And this engages the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve helps with those endorphins being released. It regulates your nervous system. Let's do 2 more breaths here. And as you move out of that intentional breathing, hopefully keeping with the diaphragmatic breathing, you always want to be breathing diaphragmatically. And sometimes that's a big behavior change when we've been doing it paradoxically. And it's not good for your nervous system to be breathing the opposite way. But we can release the intention and the effort. Now, come to your feet, letting the floor support your feet, dropping the weight of your feet into the floor, bringing awareness to your ankles in relation to your knees in relation to your hips. And now up the spine to the base of the neck, letting the shoulders relax and drop. Up the back of the neck to the base of the skull. And being intentional here to release whatever tension and weight might be at the base of the skull. Typically, when we're focusing on the base of the neck and trying to relax it, then our hips and our glutes tighten up. So go ahead and release the glutes and the hips, as well as the shoulders, the base of the skull, and now come to the crown of the head. Taking another deep breath in and out. You can bring your hands together in that prayer position, but gently rub them together. And you can bring your hands over your face with your eyes closed, and you can gently start massaging the face, the cheekbones, the jaw, the forehead and the brow line, the temples, and even around the nose. And then cupping your hands over your face, start to spread the fingers, opening the eyes. And then coming back to the space. And now we'll move into some of our chair yoga and our stretches. And here we're going to continue to focus on joy. And typically when we are feeling joy, there's a bit of activation in our activity, in our prana, we call it in the yoga world. So I'm going to come forward on the inhale, and we're just going to start to rotate, making circles around our hips. This is a nice massage for the hips. So you're inhaling as you come forward and exhaling when you come back. And you can go as slow or as swift as you'd like. We're going to do this 2 more times, and then the next time you come back, reverse direction. So you can't probably see, I'm going to move back a little bit, but I'm bending my elbows as I come forward, straightening my arms as I go back. So I'm bringing my shoulders into it. You'll feel those abdominals working as you come forward and back. A couple more. And then let's come back to sitting. And feel free to move around in your chair. Sometimes I'm coming to the front of my chair, so I have more mobility because I have these arms of my chair, and sometimes you might hear them as I'm adjusting them out or in. You can also at times find that you need to scoot back in your chair so that you have that extra back support. So here, we're going to move into some cat-cow poses, and this is really helpful to do at the front of your seat. And again, using that diaphragmatic breath, when you hug that navel center in and exhale, either out through your mouth or your nose, you're going to bring the shoulders together, creating space between your shoulder blades. And you're going to arch the back, so it's going towards the wall behind you. And then when you're ready to inhale, you bring your heart center forward. The shoulders come back, the shoulder blades squeeze together, the elbows hug in. And you're just going to move naturally with the rhythm of your own breath here. Not that the movement dictates the breath dictates the movement. And so here we're warming up the back. You might even feel the area around the sacrum, the tailbone, getting some movement, and feels good. So if you feel like you need to tip that tailbone as you come into cow, stretching forward, that can feel good. You could even gently bring your chin up. Can lengthen through the back of the neck when you're in that cat pose with the belly hugging in. Let's do 2 more. So deepening that breath. And then coming back to center. Bring your arms up with the elbows bent. So you could call this goal arms or goddess arms. We're going to stretch the arms up, maybe touching the thumb and the fingertip at the top. And again, squeezing those shoulder blades, hugging those elbows in as they come down, and then reaching through the sits bones, hugging those lower abdominals, pulling up through the pelvic floor as you reach up. Bringing up, reaching, and exhaling down. And now we're going to tilt. So the right elbow is going to come down, maybe to the arm of your chair or towards your hip. You can keep this arm bent. You can let it rest behind the head. Or if you want to deepen, you can lengthen that arm. Now really root through your feet, root through those sits bones, hug that navel center in, and be aware of the side ribs, creating space between them. Might be easier to look down to rest the neck. Listen to your body. If you ever feel any sharp pain, ease out of it. But sensation is okay. Breathe into that sensation. If your belly has started to come forward, bring it in, stitch those front ribs together. And now come out very slowly back to your goalpost arms. We'll do a couple more up and down, moving with your breath. Very good. Squeezing between the shoulder blades. And then next time we come to bent arms, we're going to hinge towards the left, bringing equal weight into our feet, our sits bones, hugging that navel center in. It's like balancing that pelvic bowl. And then think of what you want to do with that left arm, if you want to rest it into the body or let it rest on the arm of the chair. And then the right hand, do you want it behind? Do you want it over? You can be like Goldilocks. You can try it out, experiment. That's how we learn about our bodies. And we also have the right to change our mind. It might feel good for a little bit and you're like, oof, that's enough. Listen to your body. Don't push it. And breathe into the sensation. 2 more breaths. Bring that breath down into the right hip, into the spaces between your ribs. Then come back. Now we're going to come to the right. So now we're facing the side wall and try to bring your left elbow to the outside of your right thigh. Now, if that's not available, you can rest it on the thigh and let the right hand rest at the lower back or on the arm of the chair. And we're coming into a twist. So in twists, we're trying to twist from the ribs. So deeply hug in that navel center, pull up through the pelvic floor, and you might try to look past the right shoulder. Take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, come back to center. And then we'll switch sides. That right elbow comes to the outside of the left thigh or on top. You can have your hands together or separate with that left arm behind you, hugging that navel center and maybe bringing that crown of the head forward a little bit more, seeing if that creates a little bit more space for a twist. And as you breathe, you might even continue to access that joy point at the corner of the eyes. And then coming back to center. We're going to do a version of camel pose. So we're going to bring our hands to the seat behind us. And you can either have your fingers pressing or facing towards the hips and pressing down into your chair, or you can reverse and the fingers are facing the wall behind you. And so this is going to bring you into that cow pose in a way, but it's going to really open up your heart center. And you're squeezing between the shoulder blades, but you're also opening up the whole front of the body. And you're going to feel it in your forearms too. This can be a lovely stretch for the wrists. And if you want, you can stretch that chin up towards the ceiling. We're not going to crank it back and put pressure on our cervical spine, but we can certainly lengthen through the throat and breathe. And so bringing that breath up to the corner of the eyes and out. Up past the corner of the eyes to the third eye center and out. And maybe one more time, bringing the breath all the way through, on up through the crown of the head, opening and out. Now bring yourself back to the center. Might feel a little bubbly. I always feel bubbly in here. That's just letting me know I opened up some more blood circulation in there. So let's extend the right foot, and you might need to take your shoe off. You might be able to do this with the shoe on. We're going to let the heel rest on the floor, and you're going to point the toes and see if you can get the toes to touch the floor, lifting the heel off the floor. the left foot can rest on the floor with the knee bent. And we're just going to go back and forth to the heel, flexing, pulling those toes towards your knee almost, and then pointing and lifting that heel off. Let's do that 2 more times and try to sync it with your breath. A lot of times exhaling as you flex the foot, inhaling as you point, but if that doesn't feel natural to you, you can reverse it. And then we're gonna do the opposite side. So bring the right foot to the floor with the knee bent, left leg extends and point and flex. Hugging that navel center in, lifting out of the hips, lengthening through the spine. Bring both feet to the floor, knees are bent. We're going to extend the right leg again, and we're going to come forward in a forward fold. So you're going to hinge at the hips. So it's not something where we bend the back and slump. We're really trying to keep that back extended, and like you're bringing your nose towards in front of you. If we were on the floor, we'd say your nose to your toes. So we're lengthening here, and you can either have your hands on your hips or even let your arms come forward and rest on your desk. You can use your desk as a prop, and you can either look forward or just drop the head. And you might even lean further forward and bring the head almost in line with the arms. And then coming out gently when you're ready. And then when you're ready to switch sides, extend that left leg, bringing the right leg back to a supportive position. Hug the navel center in as you hinge forward. Find a place for your hands, for your arms, and relax into the pose, stretching forward as you breathe. And I just encourage you all, if there is one of these postures that really felt good, return to it. You can do this at any time at your desk. We also record these, so you can always pull this up on our YouTube channel. So if you're not back up to sitting, go ahead and come out of the fold. Find a nice, comfortable seat, moving towards the back of your chair so you have that full back support. Maybe putting on your shoes if that's more comfortable, or leaving them off. And then I had mentioned that poem, so I'm going to go ahead and read it to you now. So this is written by Donna Ashworth. She's in England, and she's got 3 books, I think, and her poems are just beautiful. And this one is about joy. Joy does not arrive with a fanfare on a red carpet strewn with the flowers of a perfect life. Joy sneaks in as you pour a cup of coffee, watching the sun hit your favorite tree just right. And you usher joy away because you're not ready for it. Your house is not as it must be for such a distinguished guest. But joy cares nothing for your messy home, or your bank balance, or your waistline, you see. Joy is supposed to slither through the cracks of your imperfect life. That's how joy works. You cannot invite her. You can only be ready when she appears. And hug her with meaning, because in this very moment, joy chose you. So taking a moment here. And if you're ever wanting to find the poems that I use in our R&R sessions, they're always in the recordings. So feel free, to pull them up on our Ascension, Wisconsin EAP YouTube channel. And if you're interested in counseling, you can always call us or email us. And for those of you who receive wellness points for participating in the R&R sessions, the keyword is joy. And if you are interested, if you know, you can always talk to your HR if they do wellness programs. And if they would like to do wellness points for this, just have them contact us and we'll get that set up. But I'm so grateful that you all joined us for today's R&R. We will be here February, and it is always the same Zoom link and passcode. So if you just set this up as a recurring link in your calendar, we will be here. And so we look forward to seeing you next week. Wishing you all a lovely, lovely new year.